Hello, it's Rebecca from Rebecca Ink. Today we are going to draw this cute little mouse all hunched over with his little hands together. What you need to join in is gather up a piece of paper, a pencil, a marker, and an eraser, or the back of your pencil eraser. Whatever you have on hand, that works great. Alright, I'm going to move my guide and we're going to get started. You are going to start with your pencil. I am going to use a marker so that you can see me better. And we're going to start in the center of our page with just a little circle. It's going to be about this big, so it's large enough you can get your whole arm going from your shoulder and go around and around and around and around. See how mine's not perfect? Yours will not be perfect either. These are really just serving as guides. So allow yourself to be imperfect. Some lines will be in, some lines will be out, but that overall shape is going to be a circle. At the base of that circle, let's draw a little triangle. Move my hand here. I'm going to plant my wrist and just kind of move my fingers back and forth to get the shape of this little triangle at the edge of that. Kind of just scoot it till they end up meeting. If you want to see that whole triangle, that base part would be right here. But we're not going to use that line, so I'm not going to draw it. All right, off of there, we're going to draw another circle. Now this circle is not going to be too much larger than this first one. It's going to live just above it and then come down just about to here. So just kind of small and back around. So let's start at the top so we get that distance apart, right? Come down about that far down and back up. If you've gone down too far, that's okay. Keep going around and shorten it up so you get about this much distance in between those two circles. Off the top of that first circle that we drew, let's add in some nice fat ovals for our ears. We're going to have one that lives off to this side. They're small, but they're kind of fat. Mice have big ears. So one there. And another one over here. Now these shapes are smaller, so I am planting my wrist and just using my hand. Same idea though, I go around and around and around and around. Inside those circles, let's just kind of give a nice little arc, just like that. It lives from just about the top down to the bottom. Nice little arc. To get that arc, I'll show you on this side because I'm going to do it differently on this side. I'm planting my wrist. And I'm just moving my hand, and it's going to go in the shape my hand will naturally go in. You rotate your paper and do the same thing on this ear. I'm not going to rotate my paper, but you can rotate yours. Do that same thing, and your hand will only go in that direction. So that works out well. All right, now let's give ourselves one little line guide so we know where's the center of the circle. So find the center of your circle. It may line up with your little triangle at the base there. If that's the case, you can start at your triangle and just kind of slide your arm up real nice and light. So see, it divides my circle into two little sections there. All right, let's go back inside the circle. So inside the larger circle, we're going to draw some ovals. They're going to dip down below that head circle and come up to the ears, and they'll be about this big. They take up a good portion of that circle. One on that side of the line, and then another on the other side of the line, about like that. Off of those ovals, let's draw some tiny ovals. Can you guess what these are going to be? They're going to be only about this big, and they're kind of skinny. They're pointed in toward that center line. So one there and one about there. I'm planting my wrist, round and round I go. Inside those little ovals, we're going to draw two diagonal lines pointed back. One there and one there. Have you guessed that these are going to be hands? One there and one there. So the diagonal lines point off to the sides. All right, let's add in the feet and the tail, and then we'll get into the fun stuff on the face. So just down from that right hand, if you're looking at your paper, the right hand side, we're going to draw a little square be about this big, just like that. And off of that square, I'm going to draw a little oval for his foot. Now on this foot, it's angled, but we're going to see some of his toes. So we're going to see one little circle here, and we're just going to draw little circles around the edge of that. Give a little space, add in one more, and then tucked right next to that one, and back around. So they kind of follow the curve of that first oval that you drew. Let's do the other foot. This guy's angled a little bit differently. So we're going to draw a little rectangle this time, coming down, with an oval off of that one. Point in another direction. He's getting his balance by the way he's holding his feet. All right, so same idea. We're going to see this little toe, so draw a little circle there. Add in another little circle here. Round and round you go for these circles. Don't overthink them. They're just guides. So 3 circles that kind of stack, and they go around that oval that we drew. All right, to help us get our tail shape, the tail is coming off the very back of our mouse's body, and it's curling around to the front. So we're going to draw one oval, and then inside that, another oval. So right up underneath the body of our mouse, let's draw an oval. You can start about in the middle there and head on over. Nice and loose. Use your whole arm for this guy. Get it going round and round you go. If it helps, this is a little trick I use. You're like, well, gosh, I drew all these lines. Is there really an oval there? Squint your eyes, and you'll see you did draw an oval with all those lines. All right, inside that, let's do another oval. About like that. Very good. Now let's add in a few of those connecting triangles that I like so much. From the rectangular leg over to the body, we're going to draw a nice long rectangular shape there. So we drew a nice diagonal line, but the leg line and the body circle kind of give us a rectangle there. I'm sorry, triangle. Oh my gosh, Monday. Triangle, not a rectangle. All right, now let's do some connecting triangles on these feet. From the rectangle to the oval, little connecting triangle there. Same thing on this guy, a little connecting triangle there. All right, now if we were to go around this inside oval, and we get right about here, we're going to draw a diagonal line over like that to the first one. And then if we take our pencil, write it up that oval, and when you get to the curve there, just kind of give yourself a little arc inside there. All right, now for our face. We have, on this little mouse, it's going to sit right inside this very first circle that we drew. That's going to be the majority of the face. So from that center line, get your hand going and draw a nice little circle right like that. Round and round you go. Same thing on the other side of that center line. Nice little circle. Now at the base of those circles, let's do a little triangle for the mouth. Super cute. Then inside that, where those little circles meet up, we're going to draw an oval about this big. And where the circles actually touch, we're going to add a little dip. So we did an oval, and then on the top part, we just added a little dip. Their little noses are almost this shape of hearts, but just a little more rounded. Okay, so now for the eyes. To get your eye lined up where you want it to be, touch your finger to that little circle we just drew and draw a diagonal line. Trace or touch a diagonal line from that part up to your ear. In this section is where your eye is going to live. It's not straight up, it's off at a diagonal, and it's going to be just right in between this circle and this ear oval. So just draw a nice little circle about this big, right in that area there. By touching your hand there, you kind of get an idea of the physical space. So that's why I wanted you to do that. Same thing on the other side. Touch your finger to the nose. Draw a diagonal line with your finger up to that ear. This is the area that other eye is going to live in. And try to get it about the same size. Take a look. If it's not quite the same size, go around and around some more. Nice and forgiving. Okay. Off the top of that, we're going to just draw a little hint of a triangle there. And a little hint of a triangle there. Just to give ourselves a cute little detail. Now let's go back to the eye. Let's add in some really big highlights on this guy. So around the base of this circle, I'm just going to draw like a crescent shape, like you're drawing a moon. And then same thing on the other side. Draw in a nice crescent shape for a highlight. And then inside that, a little circle. Inside the other one, a little circle. And another little circle. Let's do one right below that. So they kind of mirror each other. If you were to fold it up, they'd line up with each other. So they go at a diagonal out in a little crescent. Now let's do that arced line over top for the eyelid. We're going to plant our wrist and just about halfway down that circle, make a little dot and then just draw over your circle and down. By planting your wrist, you're forcing your hand to only go in the motion it will naturally go in, and that's the shape that we want. So that's the trick I use there. So draw your little dot, go around the circle. Very good. All right, let's see if we want to give ourselves any other little guides here. I'm going to have you go ahead and draw in your whiskers, sketch them in with your pencil. So the whiskers live inside these little circles close to the nose, and you're just simply going to touch your pencil down and flick it out and lift your hand off your paper as you do it. Now, not all of the whiskers line up with each other. They don't all stick out the same direction, so it's okay to make them a little messier. And when we trace over this, if they don't line up exactly with what you just drew, that's okay. You have the idea of where they go, and you can play with it from there. All right, let's give ourselves one more little guide. Under this eye, let's do a little line like that, and a little line like that. And then another one just below that. All right, we are ready for our marker. So you have all the parts to draw our adorable little mouse. Set down your pencil and pick up your marker. I'm using a Sharpie. You can use whatever marker you have on hand, or if you just want to use like a pen, that would be fine too. Just as long as you can't erase it, it will do the trick. We're going to start around this ear here. We're going to come into that face circle and out and around and kind of back to the face circle. So cut into it on this side, go out and around, and back down toward the body there. Now, as you are drawing around these circles, see how we've got lots of options? Now, my marker is thick enough that it kind of takes up most of my options, but if yours is not, this is the point where you're deciding how fat, how skinny, how thick, how wide is your mouse. Let's do those same lines on this other ear from just inside that little face circle, out and around and back to the face circle. So go inside, out and around and back to that face circle. Now for this little arc we drew inside that ear, for this one, this side would be like brown and this side would be the inside of the ear. We're just going to kind of give it a little in and out there. Go down and then cut in and out, just like that. Because it's got a little fur along that area. Now let's do around the top. So this would be the top of the head, and this would actually be its back. So we're going to draw around the top of the head. I'm going to angle my fur this way. If you want to angle your fur out that way, go for it. It's the same idea. You're kind of just riding that line that you drew with a little back and forth kind of motion like that. You go over, cut back in, over, cut back in. Now let's go around this little face. So let's go down below that ear we just did. Let's give a couple little out and ins like that. And then as we go around the face, point that fur down like gravity is pulling on it. And give another one there. All right, same thing on the other side. Down and around, and then it gets skinnier as it comes down. Now, on this side, I chose the wrong line at first, but to correct it, I just went back and I fattened up the little face there. You can do the same. If that happened to you and you look at it and you say, I don't like it, fatten it up a little bit. Don't be shy. Okay, let's do the little eyes. Let's get those going first. We're going to draw around that full circle that we started with. I'm going to draw around that full circle. And then go around your highlights so you don't accidentally color them in. Draw around the best you can. And you may not need to fill in much after that. My marker kind of filled it all in for me after I traced around all that stuff. Same thing on the other eye. Draw around your circle. Trace around your highlights. And fill in what's left over. Like we just made them look so sweet with those highlights. Okay, now over the eye, plant your wrist and trace over that little eyelid. Same thing on the other side. Plant your wrist, trace over that little eyelid. Now, if you were wondering, what are we doing with these little triangular shapes above that eye? All we're going to do is go up that triangle and then back and forth on the way down. So trace over the line and then back and forth on the way down. Kind of makes him like he's a little bit concerned maybe. Where we had the little line on the corner of our mouse's eye, we're just going to draw 3 little dots, just like that. 3 little dots, 1 on each side. And then where we had that next line, we're just going to kind of angle it this way on this side. So kind of following that top part of that little nose circle, angle the fur coming off of there this way on that side, and the other way on the other side, kind of pointing out to the sides of the circle. All right, let's do our little nose. We're going to go around that little dip that we drew and then just around the oval, just like that. Now we're ready to do the little mouth, touching to the base of that oval we just drew. We're going to point our marker toward our little face fur. Out we go, just like that. Now we do the little triangle there and the little triangle for the chin. And my marker kind of rounded the tip of that triangle. That's fine. It's cute that way, or you can point it. Either way, it's good. Okay, now we're going to do the arms. So these ovals that we drew here are the arms and the shoulders, but all we're seeing is like a little break in the fur here and then tucking up to the chin. So we're just going to go with that in and out kind of motion there, back and forth, back and forth. Then we're going to stop and head up toward the chin, and we're going to go right over that hand with some back and forths and head up to where we just stopped there. Same thing on this side, starting right about here, down toward the hand with some back and forths. Nice and loose. It's not a real distinct shape. It's just like a hint of where that would be. If you don't want to have those shapes connect up, that's fine too. It's just there's a shadow here and there's a slight shadow there, and they help us figure out where the little shoulders are. All right, now let's go back up to the top of that body circle. We're going to do same direction, whatever direction you picked for the top of the head. Do the back fur the same way, just kind of following along that circle, coming up and off of it every so once in a while. Now let's go around this way. Our fur is going to point down and around that way. Start at the ear, some back and forths there. And as you go down toward the feet, that fur gets like smaller. Just like that. Almost like a scribble toward the bottom. Same thing on the other side. Point your fur around that circle. Go right in front of those legs. Okay, can you start to see it? All right, from here, let's do our little hands. We're going to draw around this oval and then draw over the little lines there. So around the oval and then fill in the little lines. Just like that. Same thing on this side, around the oval and then fill in the little lines. Now let's move down to our feet. We'll start with this foot. We're going to go square to the connecting triangle, onto that oval. We're going to go all the way around this toe, hop back on the oval, most of the way around that toe. Now for the next two toes, we're just going to go around the base and up in, just like that. Now let's go back up to the body. We're going to go square onto the oval to the toe. Very good. Now let's do the same thing on this one. We'll go down that rectangle, hop onto the oval, stop when you get to the little toe. We're going to go around the toe back to that oval. Cut over to the next one, around the toe like you're drawing the letter C, another letter C, and another letter C, back onto that oval, connecting triangle, up the rectangle. All right, so you've got the little feet drawn in. Now for the tail. For the tail, the diagonal line that we drew off the rectangle up toward the body, we're going to draw that. That's going to be the top of the tail. It's connecting into the body of our mouse. Now we're going to draw around the top part of this outside oval, down around to where it comes to this diagonal line there. So pick your favorite line, trace over that. If you need to pick up your hand and change the angle of your hand, go for it. All right, now for the inside, we're going to draw around this portion of that inside oval. So from the foot out and around to that connecting line there. Trace right over that. Very good. And when you get to that connecting diagonal line, just write it right down. Their little tail gets a little skinnier toward the bottom. Now where we had that little arc, if it doesn't line up, what the intention is you go around the top part of that tail, and when you get right about here, we want that little arc to live. So when we shade in here a little bit, you see where it flips. All right, now let's add in some shading details on this tail and the feet. The back part of this tail, fill it in just ever so slightly. And then the base of it, we're just gonna make that line a little bit thicker as it comes toward that arc that we drew. And then we're gonna hop on the front part, and the base of this line, we're gonna make that just a little bit thicker. I'm just kind of giving a little back and forth motion. I don't want it to be super smooth. All right, now for the feet, we're just gonna fill in just a little bit at the top of their leg, I guess it would be. Just a little bit of a hint of a shadow there. All right, moving back up to the face, we can add in a few more dots and a few whiskers, and then we're all done. So plant your marker for your whiskers right where you did for your pencil. Touch and flick out. Touch and flick out. Same thing on the other side. Now for our last little bit of detail, I'm going to draw some little dots just like I did here on this side of the eye. Just touch your marker down and kind of follow the shape of your eye. I like to draw my dots usually in uneven numbers, but I really just want it to come right along that arc. So on this side I ended up with 4, and on this side I ended up with 5. You see, however many you have, it'll be cute either way. And we're all done. So let's switch to our eraser. I'm going to switch back to my guide because I drew this guy in pencil. Grab your eraser. It can be a white eraser, a pink eraser, the back of your pencil eraser, whatever you have. And we're going to erase our guides. Steady your paper with your hand and just go back and forth and erase your guides. If you have a darker mark, take a second and just go over it a few times, and that will erase it. Make sure to get in there where the little toes lived. I'm really looking forward to seeing your drawings, so make sure you send me those in the comments below. I will leave them in the comments below for people to see, and I will also post them to my website. You can find them on the RebeccaInc.com under the Interact tab. You can see what everybody else has been drawing and find your drawing there, so that's kind of fun. You can also find me, Rebecca Ink, I-N-K, on Facebook, on YouTube now, and on Spoonflower if you are a sewer or a quilter. I have fabric designs on Spoonflower, and you can find me on Instagram at Rebecca Ink of Ink. All right, thanks for drawing with me today. Send me your drawings, send me comments on what you want to draw, and I will see you tomorrow. Stay healthy and stay safe. Talk to you soon. Bye.